Need a spot to. Oh yes, over here. All right.
Where's my finger down right here?
Sure. Don't care. Just if you want to listen, just sit down. All right. So I'm going to go into order and then pick my favorite ones. So let's just be grand. Be grand. Begin. All right. The three railway engines. All right. Once upon a time, there was a little engine called Edward. He lived in a shed with five other engines. They were all bigger than Edward and boasted about it. The driver won't choose you again, they said. He wants strong engines like us. Edward had not been out for a long time. He began to feel sad. Just then, a driver and fireman came along to start work. The driver looked at Edward. Why are you sad? He asked. Would you like to come out today? Oh, yes, please, said Edward. So the fireman lit his fire and, and made a nice lot of steam. Then the driver pulled the lever and Edward puffed away. Peep, peep, he whistled. Look at me now. Away went Edward to get some coaches. Be careful, Edward, the coaches said. Don't bump and bang us like the other engines do. So Edward came up to the coaches very, very gently, and the coupling shunter, no, and the shunter coupling, and the shunter fastened the coupling. Thank you, Edward, said the coaches. That was kind. We are glad that you are taking us out today. Then they went to the station where people were waiting. Peep, peep, whistled Edward. Get in quickly, please. So the people got in quickly, and Edward waited happily for the guard to blow his whistle and waved his green flag. He waited and waited. There was no whistle, no green flag. Beep, 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 beep. Where is that guard? Edward was getting anxious. The driver and fireman asked the station master, Have you seen the guard? No, he said. They asked the porter, Have you seen the guard? Yes, last night, said the porter. Edward began to get cross. Are we ever going to start? Just then a little boy shouted, Here he comes! And the guard was running. And there the guard was, running. Down the hill with his flags in one hand and his sandwich in the other. He ran onto the platform, blew his whistle, and jumped into his van. Edward pulled off. He did have a happy day. All the children ran to wave as he went past, and met his old friends at all the stations. He worked so hard that his driver promised to take him out again the next day. I'm going out again tomorrow, he told the other engines that night in the shed. What do you think of that? But he didn't hear what they thought, for he was so tired and happy that he fell asleep at once. That was good. That was pretty good. Alright. Number 2. Edward and Gordon. One of the big engines in Edward's shed was called Gordon. He was very big and very proud. You watch me this afternoon, little Edward, he boasted, as I rush through with the express. That will be a splendid sight for you. Just then his driver pulled the lever. Goodbye, little Edward, said Gordon as he puffed away. Look out for me this afternoon. Edward went off to do some shunting. Edward liked shunting. It was fun playing with trucks. He would come up quietly and give them a pull. Oh, 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 screamed the trucks. Whatever is happening? Then he would stop, and the silly trucks would go bump into each other. Oh, 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 they cried. Edward pushed them until they were running nicely, and when they weren't expecting it, he would stop. One of them would be sure to run onto the other lawn. Edward played until there were no more trucks, and then he stopped to rest. Presently, he heard a whistle. Gordon came huffing along very slowly and very crossly. Instead of nice shining coaches, he was pulling a lot of very dirty coal trucks. A goods train, a goods train, a goods train, he grumbled. The shame of it, the shame of it, oh, the shame of it. He went slowly through with the trucks clattering and banging behind. Edward laughed and went to find some more trucks. Soon afterwards, a porter came up and spoke to his driver. Gordon can't get up the hill. Will you take Edward and push him, please? They found Gordon halfway up the hill and very cross. His driver and fireman were talking to him severely. You are not trying, they told him. I can't do it, said Gordon. The noisy trucks hold an engine back, so if they were coaches now, clean, sensible things that would come quietly, that would be different. Edward's driver came up. We've come to push, he said. No use at all, said Gordon. You wait and see, said Edward's driver. They brought the train back to the bottom of the hill. Edward came up and behind the brake van, ready to push. Wait, I'm ready, said Edward. Poop, poop. No good, grumbled Gordon. The guard blew his whistle, and they pulled and pushed as hard as they could. I can't do it, I can't do it, I can't do it, puffed Gordon. I will do it, I will do it, I will do it, puffed Edward. I can't do it, I can't do it, I will do it, I can't do it, I will do it, I can't do it, I will do it, they puffed together. Edward pushed and puffed and puffed and pushed as hard as ever he could. And almost before he realized it, Gordon found himself at the top of the hill. I've done it! I've done it! Oh, I've done it! He said proudly. I forgot all about Edward pushing behind. He didn't even wait to say thank you, but ran on so fast that he passed 2 stations before his driver could make him stop. Edward pushed so hard that he got to the top out and was out of breath. Gordon ran on so fast that Edward was left behind. The guard waved and waved, but Edward couldn't catch up. He ran on to the next station, and there the driver and fireman said they were very pleased with him. The fire gave him a nice long drink of water, and the driver said, I'll get out my paint tomorrow and give you a beautiful new coat of blue with red stripes. Then you'll be the smartest engine in the shed. That was the sad story of Henry. Ah, yes. Once an engine attached to a train was afraid of a few drops of rain. It went into a tunnel, it squeaked through its funnel, and never came out again. The engine's name was Henry. His driver and fireman argued with him, but he would not move. The rain will spoil my lovely green paint with red stripes. Hold on. I can't get the dang camera to it. There. The rain will spoil my lovely green paint. No. The rain will spoil my lovely green paint and red stripes, he said. God blew his whistle till he had no more breath, and waved his flag till his arms ached. But Henry still stayed in the tunnel and blew steam at him. I am not going to spoil my lovely green paint and red stripes for you, he said rudely. The passengers came up and argued too, but Henry would not move. A fat director who was on the train told the guard to get a rope. We will pull you out, he said, but Henry only blew steam at him and made him wet. Well, it is in the rain. The rain will spoil my lovely. Okay, you guys get it. Anybody who's not watching, but will be watching this as soon as it's published. They hooked the rope on and all pulled, except the fight director. My doctor has forbidden me to pull. My doctor has forbidden me to pull, he said. They pulled and pulled and pulled, but still, Henry stayed in the tunnel. He's a train. What makes you think that 13 to 14 passengers would need to pull him out? Would be able to pull him. Also, why do you need that many coaches if you're only having at least this amount of passengers on board? You could have at least had him pull it. But, it's still a good story. They tried pushing from the other end. The fact director said, 1, 2, 3, push! But he did not hold. My doctor has forbidden me to push, he said. They pushed and pushed and pushed, but still, Henry stayed in the tunnel. At last, another train came. James is now coming on the tracks. Make way for James, hooray for James. The guard waved his red flag and stopped it. The 2 engine drivers, the 2 firemen, and the 2 guards went and argued with Henry. Look, it stopped. It has stopped raining, they said. Yes, but it will begin raining. It will begin again soon, said Henry. And what would become of my green paint with red stripes then? So they brought the other engine up. And it pushed and puffed and puffed and pushed. But, as hard as it ever could. But guess what? But still, Henry stayed in the tunnel. So they gave it up. They told Henry, we shall leave you the air for always and always and always and always and wait a minute. Hold up. They took up the old rails, built a wall in front of him, and cut a new tunnel. Now Henry can't get out and he watches the trains rushing through the new tunnel. He is very sad because no one will ever see his lovely green paint with red stripes. But I think he deserved it. Don't you? Do 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 do. Oh crap! No, darn! I bent pages. I sure hope you can. Corey Carson. Anyway, Edward, Gordon, and Henry. Edward and Gordon often went through the tunnel where Henry was shut up. Edward would say, beep, beep, hello. And Gordon would say, boop, 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 serves you right. Poor Henry had no steam to answer. His fire had gone out. Soot and dirt from the tunnel roof had spoiled his lovely green paint with red stripes. He was cold and unhappy and wanted to come out and pull trains too. Gordon always pulled the express and was proud of being the only engine strong enough to do it. There were many heavy coaches full of important people like the fat director who had punished Henry. Gordon was seeing how fast he could go. Hurry, 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 he panted. Chickadee truck, chickadee truck, chickadee truck, said the coaches. Henry could see. Gordon could see Henry's tunnel in front. Wait a minute, he said. I'll whoop, whoop, whoop at Henry and rush through and out the tunnel and out into the open again. Closer and closer he came. He was almost there when crack. He was in a cloud of steam and going slower and slower. His driver stopped the train. What has happened to me? Asked Gordon. I feel so weak. You burst your dang safety valve. I'm just kidding, I added that thing. You've burst your safety valve, said the driver. You can't pull the train anymore. Oh dear, said Gordon. We were going so nicely too. Look at Henry laughing at me. Gordon made a face at Henry and blew smoke at him. Henry got out and came to see Gordon. Humph, said the fat director. I never liked these big engines, always going wrong. Send for another engine at once. Okay, so there are two more engines on the island, alright? There's James, then there's Thomas. No, there's James and Henry. What makes you choose Edward? Well, I honestly don't care. This story's good. Anyway. While the guard went to find one, they uncoupled Gordon and ran him on a siding out of the way. The only engine left in the shed was Edward. I'll come and try, he said. Gordon saw him coming. That's no use, he said. Edward can't pull the train. Edward puffed and pulled and pulled and puffed, but he couldn't move the heavy coaches. I told you so, said Gordon rudely. Why not let Henry try? Yes, said the fat director. I will. Will you Oh, yeesh, said the fat director. I will. Will you help pull this train, Henry? He asked. Oh, yes, said Henry. At once. Dad, my phone's about to die, so I might need to go up into my room. Is that okay? Alright. Do not touch my phone.
I don't want your phone.
Okay. Shush. I need you to go to get my key if you fail, I will fry you up. Gordon pulls the express and carries many important people like the fat Boko. Do you mind? I love Boko. Wait, you. Who are you? What are you doing in my house? Don't answer that. Alright. Now, where were we? Darn it. What was I? Ah, yes, here we go. So, Gordon's driver and fireman lit his fire. Some plate layers broke down the wall and put back the rails. And when he had enough steam up, Henry puffed out. Crap. Dang, he dirty. He was dirty. His boiler was black. And it was covered in cobwebs. Oh, I'm stiff. Oh, I'm stiff. He groaned. better have a run to ease your joints and find a turn. No, you better have a run to ease your joints and find a turntable, said the fight director kindly. He came out feeling better, and they put him in front. Hey, I'm ready, said Edward. Hey, said Henry. So am I. Pull hard, pull hard, pull hard, huffed Henry. Huffed Edward. We will do it, we will do it, we will do it, huffed Henry. Pull hard, pull hard. Pull hard, we will do it. Pull hard, we will do it. Pull hard, we will do it. They puffed together. The heavy coaches jerked and began to move slowly at first, then faster and faster. We've done it together! We've done it together! We've done it together! Said Edward and Henry. You've done it, hooray! You've done it, hooray! You've done it, hooray! Sang the coaches. All the passengers were excited. The fat director leaned out the window to wave at Henry and Edward. But the train was going so fast that his hat blew off into a field where a goat ate it for its tea. Did you hear that? The fat director's hat blew off and a goat ate it for tea. He said, "Yum, yum, yum, yum." Bold! 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 I'm joking. They never stopped till they came to the big station at the end of the line. The passengers all got out and said, "Thank you." And the fat director promised Henry. Oh my God, Lincoln, you over there, whoever you are, brother, listen to this. And Sir Topham and the fat director promised Henry a new coat of paint. Would you like blue and red? Yes, please, said Henry. Then I'll be like Edward. Edward and Henry went home quietly, and on their way they helped Gordon back to the... Why is Henry getting a new coat of blue? Now no one's gonna be able to tell the difference except for the tenders. Anyway, wasn't Henry pleased? He had a new coat of paint. He was very proud of it, as all good engines are. But he doesn't mind the rain now because he knows that the best way to keep his paint nice is to not run into tunnels, but to ask his driver to rub him down when the day's work is over. Okay. That concludes our first part. Oh, let's go! Alright. Thomas the Tank. Dear Christopher, here is your friend Thomas the Tank Engine. He wanted to come out of his station yard and see the world. These stories tell you how he did it. I hope you will like them because you helped me to make them. Your loving Daddy. Oh, I'm gonna love that. Why is he number one when the... Ooga wooga. Ah! Thomas and Gordon. Thomas, it was a tank engine who lived at the big station on the island of Soda. He has 6 small wheels, a short stumpy funnel, a short stumpy boiler, and a short stumpy dome. He was a fussy little engine, always pulling coaches about. He pulled them into the station, ready for the big engines to take out on long journeys. And when trains come in, and the people had to got out, and the people had got out, he would pull the empty coaches away so that the big engines could rest. He was a cheeky little engine too. He thought no engine worked as hard as he did, so he used to play tricks on them. He liked best of all to come quietly beside a big engine dozing on a siding, and hear them jump. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Wake up, lazy bones, he would whistle. Why don't you work hard like me? Then he would laugh rudely and run away to find some more coaches. One day, Gordon was resting on a siding. He was very tired, and the big express, as he always pulled, had been late, and he had to run as fast as he could to make up for lost time. He was just going to sleep when Thomas came up in his cheeky way. Wake up, lazy bones! He was like, do some hard work for a change. You can't catch me. And off he ran laughing. Instead of going to sleep again, Gordon thought how he could pay Thomas out. One morning, Thomas wouldn't wake up. His driver and fireman couldn't make him start. His fire went out, and there was not enough steam. It was nearly time for the express. The people were waiting, but the coaches weren't ready. At last, Thomas started. Oh dear, oh dear, he yawned. Come on, said the coaches. Hurry up. Thomas gave them a rude bump and started for the station. Don't stop dawdling, he grumbled. Where have you been? Where have you been? Where have you been? Where have you been? Asked the coaches crossly. Thomas fussed into the station where Gordon was waiting. Boop, boop, boop. Hurry up, you, said Gordon crossly. Beep, beep, beep. Hurry up yourself, said cheeky Thomas. Yes, said Gordon. I will. And almost before the coaches had stopped moving, Gordon came out of his siding and coupled to the train. Boop, boop. He whistled, get in quickly, please. So the people got in quickly. The signal went down, the clock struck the hour, and the guard waved his green flag. Gordon was ready to start. Thomas usually pushed behind the big trains to help them start, but he was always uncoupled first, so that when the train was running nicely, he could stop and go back. This time he was late, and Gordon started so quickly that they forgot to uncouple Thomas. Boop, boop, said Gordon. Beep, 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 whistled Thomas. Come on, puffed Gordon to the coaches. Pull harder, puffed Thomas to Gordon. The heavy train slowly began to move out of the station. The train went faster and faster. Too fast for Thomas. He wanted to stop, but he couldn't. Hey, stop, he whistled. Hurry, laughed Gordon in front. You can't get away, laughed the coaches. Poor Thomas was going faster than he had ever gone before. He was out of breath and his wheels hurt him, but he had to go on. I shall never be the same again, he thought sadly. My wheels will be quite worn out. At last they stopped at the station. Everyone laughed to see Thomas puffing and panting behind. They uncoupled him, put him onto a turntable, and then he went on a siding out of the way. Well, little Thomas, chuckled Gordon as he passed. Now you know what hard work means, don't you? Poor Thomas couldn't answer. He had no breath. He just slowly puffed away, ate a rest, and had a long drink. He went home very slowly and was careful afterwards, never to be cheeky to Gordon again. Thomas's train. I'm liking this. This is a good reality series, folks. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. There's Henry with his blue cone of paint. Thomas often grumbled because he was not allowed to pull passenger trains. The other engines laughed. You're too important. No, you're too impatient, they said. You'd be sure to leave something behind. Rubbish, said Thomas. You just wait, I'll show you. One night, he and Henry were alone. Henry was ill. The men worked hard, but he didn't get better. Now, Henry usually pulled the first train in the morning, and Thomas had to get his coaches ready. If Henry is ill, he thought, perhaps I shall pull his train. Thomas ran. Thomas ran until to find the coaches. Come along, he fussed. There's plenty of time, there's plenty of time. The grumbled the coaches. He took them to the platform and wanted to run in front at once, but his driver wouldn't let him. Don't be impatient, Thomas, he said. Thomas waited and waited. The people got on. The people got in. That's what I meant to say. The guard and station master walked up and down the porters, banged the doors, and still Henry didn't come. Thomas got more and more excited every minute. The fat director came out of his office to see what was the matter. And the guard and the station master told him about Henry. Find another engine, he ordered. It's only Thomas, he said. You'll have to do it then. Thomas. Be quick now. Thomas ran round to the front, head back down on the coaches ready to start. Don't be impatient, said his driver. Wait till everything is ready. But Thomas was too excited to listen to a word he said. What happened next, no one knows. Perhaps they forgot to couple the train to Thomas. Perhaps Thomas was too impatient to wait till they were ready. Or perhaps his driver pulled the lever by mistake. Anyhow, Thomas started. People shouted and waved at him, but he didn't stop. They're waving because I'm such a splendid engine, he thought importantly. Henry says it's hard to pull trains, but I think it's easy. Hurry, hurry, hurry! Hurry, hurry, hurry! He huffed, pretending to be Gordon. As he passed the first signal box, he saw the men leaning out and waving and shouting. They're pleased to see me, he thought. They've never seen me pulling a train before. It's nice of them to wave. And he whistled, Hey, thank you. And he hurried on. When he came to a signal at danger, bother, he thought. I must stop. And I was going so nicely too. What a nuisance signals are. And he blew an angry beep beep on his whistle. One of the signalmen ran up. Hello, Thomas, he said. What are you doing out here? I'm pulling a train, he said Thomas proudly. Can't you see? Where are your coaches then? Thomas looked back. Why, bless me, he said, if we haven't left them behind. Yes, said the signalman. You better go back and fetch them quickly. Poor Thomas was so sad he nearly cried. Cheer up, said his driver. Let's go back quickly and try again. At the station, all the passengers were talking at once. They were telling the fat director, the station master, and the guard what a bad railway it was. But then Thomas came back, and they saw how sad he was, and they couldn't be crossed, so they coupled him to the train. And this time he really pulled it. But for a long time afterwards, the other engines laughed at Thomas and said, "Look, there's Thomas. He wanted to pull the train, but forgot his coaches." That's all that we got time for. I'm sure there will be more to learn about Thomas and his friends. Don't you?